Welcome guys, I'm HOJ, and in today's video we're going to be doing another best of one standard event. However, today we're going to be doing a Mardu Mobilize deck. So I spent the better part of today trying to kind of fine-tune this monstrosity and getting destroyed on Mythic Ladder. So just fair warning, if you're a serious player and you want to play a serious deck and do well, you can skip this video. All right, now that it's just the rest of us, every once in a while I kind of like to have some fun and just try to brew a deck that can maybe squeak it by and just kind of get there in sort of a weird way. And I just wanted to see if I could sort of figure out the mobilize mechanic and try to kind of make it good. So this is sort of what we ended up with. First I'll kind of go into the deck, and then we'll do the games, and then I'll do kind of a wrap up at the end. If you want to check out the video description, you're going to see a playlist for all of my best of one standard events and all of my other ladder decks that you can check out also. In addition, there's going to be a link for the full deck list on moxfield.com and the win rate statistics on untap.gg. And there's also a link to my other channel if you are interested. I'm also a writer and I do science fiction and fantasy, so if you want to check that out, you can. And then lastly, there's a link there if you'd like to subscribe, if you like my content. So let's get into the deck. I kind of toyed with having sort of a more removal heavy build at first and end up using some of the best removal that we have access to, like Inevitable Defeat at 4 mana, which didn't make the final deck here, but it's certainly an option that you can go into, and it might even be a better deck. But I just decided to not go with it after kind of wanting sort of a creature heavier build. In addition, you could also use Lightning Helix, which is great. Shoot the Sheriff as another option, or just Lightning Strike, Burst Lightning, all kinds of options there. I opted with sort of a more creature heavy build and just using 4 copies of Sheltered by Ghosts to kind of help get some of the life back since the mana is pretty bad. In addition, 4 copies of Frontline Rush, which is a token maker but also doubles as a pump on target creature that you control. So it's another nice way to kind of punch through. And then 4 copies of Warleader's Call, which really goes well with this deck. But sort of to get back to the basic premise, I'm trying to use creatures that use Mobilize. And what Mobilize is, whenever this creature attacks, you create the number of tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature tokens equal to its Mobilize. So like a Mobilize 2 would make 2 1/1 warrior tokens that are tapped and attacking. And then at the end of the next end step, you sacrifice them. So we have Voice of Victory here, which is really good. 2 mana 1/3, which has Mobilize 2 and also the clause that your opponents can't cast spells during your turns. This is great against all the control decks. And then you have cards like Warleader's Call, which just does so much work with Mobilize. This is an enchantment which gives creatures you control +1/+1, and then whenever a creature you control enters, this enchantment deals 1 damage to each opponent. So for example, with Voice of Victory, if you have Warleader's Call in play, it goes from doing 3 damage with the 2 mobilized tokens in total to doing a total of 8 damage, because not only does it buff all 3 of the creatures, but it also creates 2 points of damage from the 2 warriors that are entering. So it's a huge buff for Voice of Victory. And then I also decided to use Dalkovan Packbeasts, same idea. This is an 0/4 Vigilance for 3 with Mobilize 3. This goes from functionally being a 3/4 with Warleader's Call to being 9 points of damage, just because you get all the triggers and you buff all the tokens. Or actually, I'm sorry, 10 points of damage. It goes from a 3/4 to a 10/4. So yeah, it's a really nice card for this deck. We also have 2 copies of Lord Skitter, Sewer King, which helps kind of deal with some incidental graveyard recursion. and just sort of gives us a little bit of graveyard hate. In addition, it also creates tokens, which again works well with Warleader's Call. And then we have Zurgo, Thunder's Decree, who is kind of the ultimate mobilize card here in the deck, which is one of each type of mana, red, white, and black. It's a 2/4 mobilize 2. And then during your end step, warrior tokens that you control have this token can't be sacrificed. So instead of losing your tokens at the end, you end up keeping all the tokens as long as they don't die in combat, which is just fantastic. In addition, we also have Stadium Headliner at 1 mana, which is a 1/1 mobilize 1. And then you can also sacrifice this for 1 red and 1 other to do damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature. So a nice kind of another way to squeak out a little bit of removal out of our cards. In addition, we also have some other supporting cards. We have 4 copies of Neighborhood Guardian, which is completely ridiculous in this deck. Whenever another creature you control with power 2 or less enters, target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So whenever you have a warrior token come in, you get a +1/+1 trigger. And it goes very well with all of our mobilize cards. And then I just needed to fill some more 1-drops. So this isn't really super on theme, but it's a 2/1 human soldier for 1 mana, and then when it attacks, you can pay 1 white and 1 other, and if you do, it endures 1. So you can create 1/1 creature tokens this way. You can also put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's a nice way to have another creature that kind of builds and grows. And then we have 2 copies of Authority of the Consuls, just because it's a really great offensive card to be able to reduce the number of blockers you have to deal with. There's a lot of other possible builds though with this deck. You can go really big with like Elspeth to make all the tokens, doubled, and so that's a really great card. If you want to go with like a bigger build, you can go with, there's an angel that has a warp for 2 that kind of also doubles the tokens. I looked at this at the Exalted Sunborn, so that's another option that you could go with. And so whenever you create tokens, you create twice as many with a warp 2, otherwise it costs 5, and it's a 4/5 flying lifelink. And then you also have like another option that I looked at was Delny. Delny gives you an extra trigger on any creature that's power 2 or less. So I tried it here with this build. It just ended up being kind of like a weak target. It's easy to burn with shock, etc. So you could try it out, see how it goes. But even though the deck, didn't do amazing on ladder, I had so much fun playing it. So that's the deck. Also let's go over the mana. We have 22 sources and 3 copies of Dalkovan Encampment, which is another way to get the mobilize effect. This taps for white, and it comes in tapped unless you control a swamp or a mountain. And then if you pay 1 white and 2 other and tap it, then you can create 2 1/1 red warrior creature tokens that are tapped and attacking when you attack. So another way to kind of get some more mobilize. The rest of the mana is just kind of dedicated to having as many good mana sources as possible, while at the same time being fast mana. So we're going to take a ton of damage just from our own land. We have 4 copies of Sacred Foundry, 4 copies of Godless Shrine, and 4 copies of Multiversal Passage to give us fast mana that we pay life to have untapped. The reason why I kind of did it this way is because Dalkovan Encampment comes in untapped if you have a swamp or a mountain, and so it's more likely if we have like a Godless Shrine, Sacred Foundry, or Multiversal Passage as either a mountain or a swamp to kind of help it come in untapped. We have 1 basic mountain to go find in case we get like land destruction, and then we have 3 copies of Concealed Courtyard and Inspiring Vantage to come in untapped for our first 3 lands. So I looked at a lot of different options for land. There is a tricolor land that comes in tapped. The problem is it kind of doesn't really work if you want to have 1-drops. And then you also have like all of the verges, but then you need to have more basics. So, you have starting town as well, but starting town isn't a basic, so it doesn't help with Dalkovan Encampment. So it's kind of a little bit of a conundrum. So this was sort of what I came up with for the land. All right, let's jump into the games. All right, let's take a look. Okay, not sure what happened to best of one. Okay, I don't know what happened to the best of one queue, so that's different. Huh. Okay, I guess the standard best of one queues are gone for some reason. I just ended up opening a ticket and taking a screenshot, but yeah, don't know what's going on. The standard best of one queues have, I guess, momentarily disappeared, so hopefully they'll be back online sometime soon. I guess in that case, we will go ahead and just do some ladder matches. So no idea what's going on, but yeah, we'll do a couple ladder games in that case. I've never seen that before, where the standard best of one queues just disappear off the client. So okay, whatever. All right, opening hand looks really good. Let's go ahead and keep this. We got stuff to do, all types of mana. Let's lead out here with this, and we'll go for Stadium Headliner. I think we want to start with that. All right, now we can go for Concealed Courtyard and get Descendant going. I will say Authority is pretty good against us. That would be one of the better cards against our deck. But yeah, trying to find the right build of this definitely hurt, and I sort of got destroyed for a bit on the Mythic ladder. But all in the name of fun. I love this deck. It's so much fun. All right, let's get Skitter going. I guess the question is if we want to attack with both and then potentially have like Frontline Rush. I think I just want to develop Skitter here. The other option we could do is we could attack and kill it now, and then get Authority going. And that actually is probably a decent idea considering this thing's going to grow and just be terrifying. So maybe we should just do that. Okay, we're going to decline that. And then we're just going to go ahead, He's probably just going to try to block the 1/1 here, so we're just going to go ahead and kill it first. Okay, Warleader's Call is great. I think let's just go for Skitter here. Again, Authority really hurts, but it is what it is. Warleader's Call will hopefully help it a little bit. And then the nice thing about Skitter is that Frontline Rush, oh my god, they've got 2 authorities. That's such a beating. All right, see if we can fight through it. Yeah, let's take a little pain here. Let's go for white. We want to, I think, endure here and then go for Warleader's Call. And then just hold this as a trick. Nice thing here is that the Warleader's Call helps fight it a little bit. Yeah, because I think if we make another token, I guess technically it's a 2/2 and they take 1, so we're kind of getting ahead. So maybe it's better, or at least equal, to make a token. And then it does make Frontline Rush better, so I suppose we could have made a token there. But having a big body is also kind of nice. Our own authority doing a little bit of work here. And he's probably taking Skitter, I imagine. Or okay, he didn't take Warleader's Call, so that's good. Okay, that'll work. Can we just kill them? So if we just swing and endure 5, 7, 9, yeah, that's actually just enough right there. All right, it's not quite as interesting, but we'll do it. All right, 1-0. Opening hand looks okay. We don't have access to red, which sucks. We have Descendant and Sheltered by Ghosts. I don't know how well this deck mulligans. I think I'm going to try it. We have a decent number of sources to get there, and we can start growing our Descendant. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Ooh, another authority. Man, thank God we've got these Warleader's Calls. Alright, we've got to go Godless Shrine here since we don't have an actual swamp in play yet. we're up against some kind of control, Sheltered by Ghosts is okay on authority. It's not amazing. Oh yeah, okay, so we're up against artifacts. This is a pretty rough match, not gonna lie. I think we just go for enduring here. Just because there's so many things they could drop that are just terrifying. And if we make a token, they gain a life, we get a +1/+1. So it'll be better eventually with Warleader's Call, but I think in the short run, if we just make this bigger, maybe that's better. Although, again, I think I want to spread out a little bit just because of if they might have like targeted removal. So we'll go wide. Could really use some red mana though, that's for sure. Or is it just mono white? Like mono white artifacts? Sure. Okay, there's the red. Fortunately, it's tapped. I think we just endure again. It is going to get better, I promise. For the short run, we'll be kind of treading water here, but I think that's okay. All right, it is the full blue-white, possibly Jeskai. Yeah, I think it's Jeskai with the one red card in the deck. Okay, so we have 5 mana. Yeah, let's go for another red here. And we are going to want a Sheltered by Ghost this Repurposing Bay, because that will go and find a Star Cage, which we do not want. So let's start out with Call. And then we'll Sheltered by Ghosts. Now we just got to pray they don't have answers. I suppose it's possible it would have been better to put this on a token, just to kind of vary our threats a little bit. That might have been better. Yuck. Well, the good news is we have a 1 turn to get there. They don't actually have the mana to use it yet. Okay, and we can now double Frontline Rush, so +2/+4. That is enough. That should do it. Again, it's maybe not that exciting, but we'll get it done. All right, 2-0. Completely squeaked by on that that artifact deck. That deck is a nightmare. They have 4 Star Cages and the ability to find them with 4 Repurposing Bays. All right, opening hand looks good. We've got all the mana we need. I mean, we need 1 more mana, but it's a good start. So we'll go for Mountain here. guess we can get the Godless Shrine out first. Okay, Hedge Maze, this might be Reanimator, could be possibly Omniscience, or I don't think it's Simic Aggro. Let's go and get a mountain. And we will start the events with the Voice of Victory. Like, the amount that Warleader's Call makes Voice of Victory better is just ridiculous. Please don't burn it. No! Alright, it's Reanimator. And we are stuck on 2 land. Cool story. Okay. At least we can make some tokens. It's not amazing, but it's something. They have the full setup, so Lord Skitter's going to have to get to work here. Okay, need that land super badly. And we'll just make some more tokens. Ah, they've got it. Okay. Well, that's probably just it right there. Oh yeah, that's a beating. Well, yeah. This is a situation where Skitter is not as good as Kutzel's Flanker, but either one of them is going to cost 3 mana, so yeah, we are done. Alright, 2 and 1. Yeah, we have stuff to do. Just need a little bit of mana to kind of get it going. Start out with Sacred Foundry. This will let us play Encampment untapped. Ooh, Metamore Elves are great. I think we just want to start with Guardian. Esper Origins. We really need 3 land. Maybe we're supposed to be running like 23 land. 22's I thought was supposed to be enough. Okay, we're just going to play it now so that we get the pump. Got a handful of gas, but ooh, and they're on the super. They don't have any land either. All right, well, okay, this is gonna be fun. I think we just keep going with Warleader's Call. Frontline Rush. Yeah, I guess we need Frontline Rush here. We'll play it as an instant to make more guys, which will then buff whoever we need to. I guess that's the play. And you thought you were safe. Let's see, 3, yeah. Just don't wipe the board. Yep. He is virtue signaling. All right. Ooh, actually, if we go Dalkovan Encampment, is that better than just playing another Warleader's Call? I think it is, because it makes 2 and they come in, and yeah, it's going to be great. And that'll do it. All right, 3 and 1. It's actually doing pretty well. This is way better than it was doing on ladder before I made some of the changes. Yeah, opening hand looks great. We got a 1, 2, 3. Ooh, breeding pool, okay. Let's start, oh yeah, with the Foundry here. Get our stadium headliner going. Okay, we could play Encampment here if we're worried about... Actually, let's just go Concealed Courtyard, I think. And then I guess we could attack because nothing functionally is going to change here. If we play this, they might go for the counter. I suppose we'd rather have them kill this than our... that's fine. They wouldn't be able to kill Voice of Victory, but they could counter it, theoretically. Although they are reanimators, they don't really have counters. They do have plenty of removal, though. Skitter is going to hit you hard. Yeah, let's go for Encampment here. Should come in untapped. By the way, I made quite a few errors playing on ladder where I played this expecting it to be untapped and wasn't because I didn't have an actual mountain or swamp. So it's good to know. All right. Start gnawing away at their graveyard. Ooh, Terror of the Peaks. I think we want to get rid of that before Harvester. Harvester is annoying, but this is potentially game ending. Yes! Suck it, Reanimator. Yeah. And the reason I say that is just I have been brutalized so many times by Reanimator that it's nice to have a win. Yeah, so that's the deck. 4 and 1. Ended up doing pretty well. Let's take a quick peek at the stats. All right, so it looks like, oops, hang on, there we go. So apparently 79% win rate, 88% win rate on the play, and 67% on the draw, 11 wins and 3 losses. This is way better than I expected. Yeah, I think there were a lot of versions of it that I ran on ladder on my tablet and my phone, which do not track on untapped.gg. So there were quite a few losses while I was finding out the right cards to use. But overall, I'm really liking the deck. It's a lot of fun. And hopefully, best of one standard events will be back up soon. Again, I opened a ticket, so I have no idea what's going on with them not being available. But yeah, apologies for the intro, which made us think that we were going to be playing best of one standard event. So we'll get that in at some point soon. And again, if you guys like my content and you want to see more, feel free to subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.